Hello and welcome. So today I'm going to be talking about Jade, and I'm going to be showing off the build that I've had on her more or less since she's like kind of came out to the build that I've settled on, and I've had a pretty good success with it, I think. I'm not like a Jade main per se, but I really do like the Warframe, and I do like using her. I don't use her, well, as often as I'd probably admittedly like to. I just mostly use her for the Archon hunts for the defense mission because for whatever reason, the defense target that we have to defend has a death wish and just really enjoys playing in traffic. And Jade's one is really good at healing him. So, yeah. And then just normal gameplay wise, I just kind of, as the thumbnail kind of suggests, I just kind of have her cosplay as like an AC-130 and just rain death from on high, and I have a decent bit of fun with it. So I'm going to be showing that off, and hopefully you have fun too. So going over the Archon charts here, these are all to taste of course, but this is what I've had the most success with. Max energy on spawn, just using my abilities, getting everything set up to just kind of, get everything going. Really, really nice. 3 strength shards. Strength is beneficial for her whole kit. I don't think that needs much explaining. And then I do have 1 little duration shard here. This is mostly just for like the upkeep of Ophidium Eyes, just so that I'm not like casting this as often as I would, not like to. Just, just having it be just something like in the background. I just cast every once in a while, so that's why that's there. And yeah, getting into the build here proper, she does have 2 aura slots in Brief Respite and in Aerodynamics. That's what I'm using. Both of these are just for survivability. The Aerodynamics, though, and the damage reduction with this pairs very nicely with the Exlos mod that I have with Aviator. So these just have the damage reduction on while the Warframe is airborne, and she's primarily always going to be in the air because of Glory on High. We're going to basically just live in her 4. That is the whole point of the build that I have for her. And then moving on to just the main bulk of the build here. Prime Continuity for Duration, Transient Fortitude, and Umbral Intensify for Strength. Prime Flow and Equilibrium. This is for our just having a bunch of energy and then energy sustain kind of itself. Stretch for a little bit of range. Archon Vitality for more heat application and or heat like damage itself. So the Glory on High, her glory, like the actual like weapon that you shoot, it just does heat damage at a base. So Archon Vitality, really great to have on Jade. And then also having like the extra health for a little bit more survivability is also nice too. Boreal's Hatred, really nice here. Little extra shields, a little more ability efficiency is really nice. And then we also gain damage reduction while airborne as well, which again paired with all the other survivability options is really nice. For the Arcanes here, got Arcane Velocity. This is going to pair a lot with the AC-130 basically aesthetic that I kind of went for with this. So the whole point of it is to basically just put as much fire rate on her as humanly possible and just let it rain, more or less, and that is what Arcane Velocity helps us do. And then Molt Augmented is here just to stack up a bunch of strength, because everything in her kit really likes strength. Key changes that you can make to the build is really just like with Boreal's Hatred here and with the Molt Augmented. So with Boreal's Hatred, if you like don't really care for like the extra defensive ability of just having the reduced damage, this can turn into something like fast deflection if you need like more defensive options. You can also use something like Augur Reach if you wanted more range, or if you wanted to just like build up your shields passively just through casting some abilities and things like that. If you're still having issues with like survivability, you can remove Molt Augmented and just take the hit in ability strength and then just run Arcane Aegis here, and then you can just basically just live it infinitely just through shield tanking. You're going to be in Glory on High, you're going to you're going to have the high ground. So getting status procced and everything is not going to happen too often. Oi. But yeah, overall this build has worked fairly well. Her 1 can heal basically any target, at least that I've come across. And again, I mostly just use it for healing the defense target for the Archon hunts. Symphony of Mercy, her second ability, this is a wacky second ability. So Power of 7 is really good because it just gives you a bunch of ability strength, and then that applies to all of your other abilities, and then these do snapshots, so that does go into that. Deathbringer just gives you a lot of base damage, so that'll be more important when we go to her Altar Glory. And then the Spirit of Resilience is really good for just getting shields, and then that the shield recharge delay also helps with like just getting your shields back and making you more survivable as well. Also, something that I learned a little while ago is that while the Symphony of Mercy is active, so let's just say you're just on the Deathbringer part of this for the damage, when you cycle through her abilities, you don't have to like recast them. The ability itself is Symphony of Mercy, and then you can just cycle through these, and then they can just be they're just active just passively as you cycle through them. So you don't have to recast to activate, they're already active. So that is really, really cool. So this will allow you to just kind of switch to the Power of 7, excuse me. And then you can recast Ophidiumize that way that you're snapshotting that power strength bonus and you're getting more of an armor strip out of your Ophidiumize. And then you can go right back to your Deathbringer or right back to your Spirit of Resilience or whatnot that you need, and you don't have to like necessarily recast anything. Although casting and recasting your 2 and its abilities is nice to do, because when you are casting, you are invincible, so you can take advantage of that and kind of, you know, just be invincible and kind of like face tank a few things and then get out of dodge. Ophidiumize is really nice because it's just a big damage reduction, it's a big slow, applies heat to enemies, just really nice ability in general. This is her subsume, and this is really good on other Warframes. And then Glory on High is going to be what I mentioned earlier. We're always going to be in this mode, and this also gives us some nice damage reduction as well to pair with like everything else in the build that gives us the damage reduction as well. So, yep, that is Jade. I'm going to go over the companion as well because this is also important. So I'm using Worm, and a big thing, well, 2 big things with Worm is negate, for just in case if we do get those status effects on us, this will just get rid of them. And then the big thing here is reinforce bond, because this goes with the, again, we're just stacking fire rate. That is the whole point of the build, more or less. Just stack as much fire rate as possible. And yeah, Worm will just keep us nice and alive, and then the Seismic Bond here also works with Glory on High because that is a channeled ability, so we're going to be getting extra ability efficiency on top of everything else as well. But this is the Worm mod setup that I have, and then this is the weapon setup that I have on Worm. If you don't really care for like the cold and corrosive setup here that I have, here's something for viral. If you're wanting to just spread a little bit more of that, here's a setup for that. But I'm just going to stick with this. The primary doesn't really matter. The things that matter are going to be the secondary and then the melee. So I'm using the Grimoire, and the Grimoire is really important because of the Vohm right here. So this is going to give us more ability strength on the ult fire, and that's going to be really important because, as I mentioned earlier, the 4 snapshots, so you can snapshot that when you go into your 4, and you just get to keep it. So that is really nice. And then you don't need a Zaw for this, of course. The whole purpose is to just get a pole arm and then you want to use Boreal's Contempt, because this is the other Boreal's mod that you saw, and that's why there were 2 notches in the Boreal mod within Jade. So both of them separately just give 20, but both of them together give 40. So yeah, this is the other side of the damage reduction, while Airborne just giving us more survivability as well. So this is important for the build as too. And then lastly, for Glory, this is the Glory setup that I've using, this is with Anemic Agility. Again, just fire rate. I can't stress enough, just hammer home with the fire rate. It doesn't cost energy just to hold down the fire button and just have her launch everything. The thing that costs energy is the alt fire. This build can use the alt fire, but you're primarily just going to be just holding down the fire button and just raining down hellfire. That's basically the whole point of it. And this is the build that I've had the most success with. Some changes that you can make if you're running into problems with like Overguard or Corpus with like shields or something, you can throw in the magnetic right here, and then that would solve that. You can also change out the innervate here. This is just really good for getting like orange and red crits, and then you can go into Fortifier if you're having issues with Overguard, or maybe even more, like maybe you want more survivability. That can also help. And then Cascadia Flare, this will get built up really quickly because Glory is just innately heat. So yeah, Flare will get built up pretty quickly. I just really like using secondary Innervate for mine to just do a lot more damage and get a lot more crits. But yeah, that is Jade, and this is more or less what I've been using on her. So let me just show this off in a little mission, and we'll get this show on the road. Alright.
Each enemy is more powerful than before.
Double cast that to get a little bit more strength.
The Tenno arsenal, will you succeed?
Then, because I've got the max energy on spawn, I can just go ahead and I can start using my abilities. So then, Ophidium Eyes, and then while we have the power of 7, we want to go into Glory, and then we want to use the Deathbringer. And now we've got all this stuff active, and now we just hold down the fire button. That is all we're doing. We're just holding down the fire button. It is a laser light show. It is just a massacre. I'm just kind of going through here. Excuse me, pardon me, coming through gangway. Alright, here we go. Here's a little bit more of an open space. Need to recast the Ophidium Eyes. There we go. See, and then this is really easy to like maintain your energy, because when you're just shooting like this and just holding down like the fire button, this doesn't cost energy. The alt fire does. So doing that costs energy. But as what you can see, we can still do the alt fire like nuke basically with this setup and be just fine. I wouldn't recommend spamming it. That's what like the fire rate and just holding down the fire button for, just like launching all these lasers and whatnot. Is the whole point of this. And ooh, there's a red crit. Not a high red crit, but still a red crit. You cast the Ophidium Eyes again. That's like the main thing, is just remembering to cast that. And then, as you can see me cycling, I can go into the power of 7 and it's active, so then I can recast the Ophidium Eyes, then go back into this. Just go back into Deathbringer, then I get all my base damage, and then that's where that comes from for Glory. That's why I don't need base damage in the just Glory mod screen itself, because I've got it from Deathbringer. And here we go. I'm going to showcase like snapshotting, excuse me, her Glory on high with all of the power strength buffs that I can get once I get her the most augmented up all the way. But that should not take too long, because I'm basically almost there. just a little bit more. Yeah, things are just, she is just melting in. The last time I checked, I'm pretty sure I can just melt acolytes too. I guess we're gonna find that out because I haven't used her in actual mission here in a little bit. And a few more kills. More. All right, there we go. So now let's get out of R4. And now we need to find a little bit of cluster in it. This will work. So there's that. There's that. There's this. And then now all of that. And now all that power strength is now snapshotted onto her. And holy, this is doing a lot more damage. So there's that. Let's get our shields back and be invincible for a little bit. Try and get this stuff back up. There we go. Alright. Be invincible again. There we are. Alright, now I got my base damage back, so let's just go ahead and just start shooting. Yep, you just never let go of the fire button, basically. That and this. Yep. I didn't need to be invincible for that, so I just didn't recast the ability. I think I just saw 100k. 100k off of a little just free shot. Craziness. Oh, and there they are. So let's throw some of these down. I'll throw this down. And there it is, and there he goes. So yeah, that was about as well as I thought. Little nuke. Yeah, this is Jade. No subsumes, no nothing. Get in here to get rid of the overguard. Yeah, I have a decent little bit of fun whenever I play Jade. Don't play her too often, but yeah, I am a fan of Jade, and I do like the build, and I hope that you know, give it a try or whatnot. I think Jade is a decent little bit of fun. I don't see it too often.
The raid is off to a successful
And that was a really quick 5 minutes.
Extraction is available if you need it.
All right. Well, if you watched all the way to the end, I hope you liked the video. I hope you learned something. I hope you give Jade a little shot. Varuna Prime is coming out tomorrow, so that's going to be nice. Probably I'll have to get her and then put some form in her, so getting her Prime video out will take a little second, but I'll get that video out. So, thanks for sticking around to the end. Thanks for clicking and watching the video. I'll catch you later. Peace. See ya.